Adam Johnson, an American ice hockey player playing in the British Elite League, lost his life during a game last Saturday after being cut in the neck by opposing teammate Matt Petgrave's ice skate. In this video, I'm going to take you through a very brief article discussing what took place during that event, and then I'm going to be sharing some of my own thoughts on whether this was just a freak accident or actually an avoidable tragedy. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different compared to the normal topics that we discuss on this channel, but being someone who's followed ice hockey for over 20 years, having watched British Elite League games in person even as far up as Dundee, having been a previous supporter of the London Knights back when they were a team, and having watched thousands and thousands of games of ice hockey over the past 20 years, naturally this instance surrounding Adam Johnson and Matt Petgrave caught my attention. Police investigating death of ice hockey player Adam Johnson after fatal injury during game. Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson died after being cut on the neck by a skate during a game against Sheffield Steelers last weekend. South Yorkshire police said, quote, "Due to the complex nature of this tragic and unprecedented incident, it is likely the wider investigation will take some time." Johnson's neck was cut by a skate during a Challenge Cup fixture against Sheffield Steelers on Saturday, and after receiving treatment on the ice, the 29-year-old was later pronounced dead in hospital. South Yorkshire police confirmed they were investigating the incident and added on Tuesday, quote, "Since Saturday, detectives have been carrying out a range of inquiries, including reviewing footage, talking to witnesses, and seeking the advice and support of highly specialised experts to seek to understand the circumstances surrounding what happened." Police said it was standard practice to examine all sudden and unexpected deaths to provide findings for a coroner, and they were also working closely with the local council's health and safety department. So what I'm going to play for you now is the clip of the incident minus the impact and the graphic aftermath. What I will say is please listen to me when I say the following. Do not go and seek out the full video of this event. It's incredibly graphic, incredibly sad, and it's one of those videos that just sticks with you. So please do not go and seek the full video of what I'm about to show you. So what is my own interpretation and my own impression on this hit against Adam Johnson? My impression is that Matt Petgrave intended to make contact with Adam Johnson. Now, I'm not going to say, yes, he intentionally stuck his leg up, he intentionally tried to seriously injure Adam Johnson. I don't believe that for one moment. But I do, however, still feel that this was an incredibly reckless manoeuvre. Many people online have said, well, this is just simply an accident. He's lost the edge of his skate, he's clipped the skate of this other individual, this other player, and he somehow lifted his leg up and it's all one big accident. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. In my opinion, this is what happens. Matt Petgrave is skating back towards the defensive zone. He can see Adam Johnson cutting across the ice with the puck, and whereas most defenders at this point in time would pivot to their right, because look at this, okay? As he comes across the other defender who is kind of shielding Adam Johnson, most defenders in this position would pivot to their right. The reason for that is because the stick is most likely in his right hand. He's going to pivot to the right so that he can intercept or try and affect the play of Adam Johnson. But Matt Petgrave doesn't do that. He carries forward on the left-hand side, and in my opinion, again, just my opinion here, he sticks out his leg to interrupt or to affect the play of Adam Johnson, who's cutting across the ice. Again, I'm going to replay it here. I'm just going to rewind it. Again here, Adam Johnson skating in across the neutral zone. Matt Petgrave sees him and attempts to affect the play by going to his left. Now, as I say, most defenders in that position would simply stop or peel off or pivot to their right. He doesn't. He sees him come across. He makes incidental contact with the other defender, or the other attacker, I should say, and sticks out his left leg. Again, I'm not saying he's intending to karate kick him or chop him with his skate. I'm not saying that at all. But most people in that position would peel off to their right. And I can't understand for the life of me why he hasn't done that. The question that I will ask people who are so adamant that this was just simply a terrible accident is, let's imagine that he sticks out his leg and there's a knee-on-knee contact here, which was very likely, to be perfectly honest, in the way in which Matt Petgrave comes towards Adam Johnson. Let's just say, for instance, this was a knee-on-knee contact. Would you still be saying that this was a tragic accident? Would you still say that this was a case of someone losing an edge on their skate? Or would you say, hang on a minute, this is a dirty play, this is a reckless play? And I think because of the severity of this video, the severity of the consequences as to what happened to Adam Johnson, many people simply can't believe that there was any intent at all. Now again, I'm not saying he intended to seriously hurt Adam Johnson. But what I do believe is that this was an incredibly reckless manoeuvre, and that Matt Petgrave did intend to make contact in some way, shape or form with Adam Johnson. What I also want to draw your attention to is the bottom of the screen here and the teammates of Adam Johnson. Now, at the moment of impact, his teammates aren't aware of how severe this is going to become, how severe this incident actually is. They're simply looking at this in terms of, it's a dirty play, it's a foul, it's a reckless manoeuvre, where's the penalty? Where's the penalty? No, putting their hands up, putting their sticks in the air. It's not, okay, let's go and help our teammate. They're simply reacting as to what has happened in that moment. And a few of them there, that you can see at the bottom of the screen, sticks raised, hands raised, looking over at the ref. What the hell's he doing? Like I say, this is simply my opinion. I know there are going to be so many people out there who disagree with me and say he lost an edge on his skate, he clipped this the opposing teammate's skate, and that caused him to lift his skate up. But from what I can see, he's attempting to make contact with Adam Johnson with his legs. Now, again, I'm not going to say that he intended to lift his leg up and seriously harm. Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. But I still feel that this was an incredibly sad and reckless, needless situation. I mean, when you think of how many games happen each and every year around the world, I mean, people say this is just an accident, this is just a freak accident. There are thousands, tens of thousands probably, of ice hockey games that take place every year around the world. And these instances of people being cut are actually quite low, because people don't tend to throw their feet up in the air or try to tackle people with their legs. Yet in my opinion, at the very least here, we're looking at someone who is trying to trip somebody up with their legs. Now, people who aren't familiar with hockey will say, well, what's the problem with that? In hockey, knee-on-knee contact, tripping people, you don't slide in with doing two-footed challenges in ice hockey. It's just not the done thing. Okay? It's not football where people are sliding here, there and everywhere. People don't lead with their skates. Knee-on-knee contact, raising your skates intentionally or whatever, is very, very frowned upon. And I believe that the Nottingham Panthers bench knew straight away that this was a reckless manoeuvre. That's why their hands are in here. That's why their sticks are in here. What the hell's going on? They're not, oh my God, what's happened? It's throwing their hands up in, why has he done that? What is going on here? What this play looks like to me is that Matt Petgrave knows that he has taken the incorrect line here. As I stated a little bit earlier, most players in this situation when they're caught out will simply stop and pivot to their right because it's easier to get your stick free and affect the play of Adam Johnson, who is cutting across the zone. But having taken this bad entry or this bad angle and seeing Adam Johnson cut across, instead of admitting defeat in some ways, he, in my opinion, has stuck out his leg. And for me, what this all boils down to is the issue of intent. Was Matt Petgrave intending to make contact with Adam Johnson? Because if he is, then number one, it would be with his leg. Number two, it's a highly controversial and risky manoeuvre in any case, regardless of whether you're hitting someone in the neck or hitting someone or tripping someone with your legs. again, what I want to ask you, if you believe this was just a pure accident, then what would you say if this play ended up being a knee-on-knee contact or Matt Petgrave tripping up Adam Johnson? Would you still be saying, yes, well, of course that was an accident? There was no intent there. He didn't intend to trip him up. He just lost an edge. He just tripped on the opposing player's skate. For me, where the skate impacts Adam Johnson, I'm not going to say it's irrelevant, but the important part here is the intent of contact. Did Matt Petgrave intend to contact Adam Johnson with his legs? In my opinion, the answer is yes. Now, before we conclude today's video, I'm going to put in front of you a short clip of a podcast that I listened to recently from a Division 1 ice hockey player, someone who's played ice hockey his entire life, has a great deal of experience with the sport, and his interpretation and opinion about what took place on Saturday night. I'll put the full link to the podcast down in the video description box below.
Was a death in the professional hockey world this last week, and anyone that knows me that listens to this, I played hockey my entire life, Division 1 hockey player. I know the game very well, and just seeing something as sickening as what I saw in that video, especially when it was slowed down by what I think is one of the dirtiest hockey plays obviously anyone's ever seen. This guy should be charged at the very minimum, some sort of manslaughter. Like this is absolutely insane that this is getting any sort of, there's any sort of debate on whether this was intentional or not. I don't think the guy meant to put his skate in the guy's throat, but I do believe that it was intentional, that he was sticking his leg out. We all know as hockey players, anyone that's listening that played hockey, we know that there are times where you take a bad angle when you're defending. And there's two different hockey players. There's a guy who accepts that, tries to correct itself, get back into play and get the position. And then there's scum of the earth hockey players who will stick their legs out, take out guys' careers because they'll end their legs. They'll blow out their knees. Best case scenario, some guy gets a tweaked leg. Worst case scenario is what happened.